It is not 10 a.m. It is 9:07. And again, I apologize. And I would like to call to order this wonderful meeting of the Building and Operating Committee of Thursday, March 21st, 2024. But before we begin, please note this meeting is being recorded. Welcome to everyone joining us here in person, as well as those listening in on the phone. If you would like to provide public comment at today's meeting, and if you have not already done so, please let dear Thomas know in the back of the room, or Justine on the call-in line know what items you would like to speak to today. Madam Secretary, please begin by calling the roll.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Director Conroy is absent. Director Giudice.
Here.
Maston.
Here.
Barr. Present. Rabbit.
Here.
Tirio.
Here.
Vice Chair Rodoni.
Here.
Chair Garbarino.
Here.
And President Cochran.
Here.
All right. Thank you. You have actually our committee of the whole, and you have a quorum. Also in the room, we have Directors Hernandez, Hill, Thier. So yeah, we're definitely a committee of the whole. I'm just going to bypass introducing staff since you can see everybody, so you can go ahead and keep continuing.
All good. Great. Thank you once again. And please follow along by referring to the page numbers located on the bottom right-hand corner of your meeting packet. We will begin with agenda item number 3, which is to approve actions relative to award of contract number 2023 BT072 San Rafael Bus Facility Parking Lot Improvements and Solar Panel Installation. The staff report begins on page 3, and John is here there you are, John, to present the report. John, please begin.
Thank you. Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. So this first action, we're requesting that the Building and Operating Committee recommend that the Board of Directors approve the following actions relative to contract number 2023 BT072 San Rafael Bus Facility Parking Lot Improvements and Solar Panel Installation as follows. Approval Board, contract number 2023 BT072 to Gelati Brothers Incorporated, San Rafael, in the amount of $9,199,199. Establish a construction contingency for the contract in the amount of $919,919, equal to 10% of the contract award amount, and authorize an increase in the amount of $7,025,618 in the fiscal year 23-24 Bus Division capital budget for project 1431, D1 resurface employee parking lot and solar panels for a revised total project budget of $12,155,618. Okay, so the San Rafael facility is the district's primary bus facility where the majority of the bus maintenance activities occur, and also where the administration building is located and a number of district administrative staff work. So in addition to the main bus lot, the facility has an employee parking lot and a visitor parking lot. Construction of the facility was done in 1969, and it involved placing a 7-foot deep layer of fill over a 50-foot deep compressible layer of pavement. So there's a lot of glass paved in 1991, and huge settlement and construction of those fill layers. Settlement has occurred throughout the lots, resulting in some damage to the pavement. So engineering staff determined that the existing asphalt is at the end of its life and should be replaced. But at the same time, an assessment was made to investigate the feasibility of extending a solar panel system at the facility, a carport structure in the employee parking lot. The investigation determined that that was feasible, and the system would be large enough, about 900 kilowatts, to offset the power usage at the existing facility. So it was determined to incorporate that into the project. So district staff developed a construction contract number 2023 BT72, San Rafael Bus Facility Parking Lot Improvement and Solar Panel Installation. Scope involved: remove the existing asphalt concrete surfacing and place new asphalt concrete surfacing. Construct new drainage facilities install new pavement striping, delineation, construct an ADA compliant pathway from the visitor parking lot to the administration building, concrete sidewalks, curbs and gutters, the new solar panel array, which includes lightweight cast durable piling, steel framing, and the solar panels. Removing the existing pole lights in the parking lot, putting LED lighting on the employee parking lot. Installation of 10 charging stations for electric vehicles in the employee parking lot. Installing 6 bus electric charging stations. Also required removing the existing PG&E transformer because it's undersized, putting a new transformer in and relocating that, and then constructing all power supply from the PG&E service, distribution lines, and a new electrical water and sewer for a future modular office, which is also going in the parking lot. Construction will include weekend extended work shifts, and we're trying to minimize impacts to bus operations. On January 9, 2024, we advertised bids. We also advertised in Marin Independent Journal, Small Business Exchange, and sent out notices to numerous disadvantaged business enterprises. 18 firms downloaded the solicitation. Then on February 15th, bid opening date, the district received 2 bids, which were opened and read. Low bid was from Gelati Brothers, the amount of $9,199,199. Second bid, Majori and Gelati Incorporated, $9,362,140. So the bids are within 2% of each other, but they were significantly higher than the engineer's estimate. In addition, we wondered why only 2 primes bid on the project. So we reached out to other prime contractors who downloaded and other prime contractors who we had sent notices to, and found that for various business reasons they elected not to submit bids. They were either too busy, they didn't have resources to provide on the project, they were located too far away. But they did not mention any reasons such as specifications being too restrictive or limited competition. So staff looked at the bid proposals and determined that the engineering estimates were off, and this is what the price of work is today. In particular, concrete, we were specifying lightweight concrete due to the compressive soils out there. It's very high. The other concrete prices came in high. Electrical came in higher than anticipated. But that appears to be the going rate for this type of work. Also, there's high groundwater at the site, which leads to challenges. A lot of the conduit is going to have to be buried, and there's drainage facilities that need to be tunneled under. So all of those contributed to the higher pricing. So we've determined, staff has determined that Gelati Brothers pricing reflects the current market conditions. There was also a 22% small business enterprise contract specific goal established for the contract. So bidders were required to document their activities in the solicitation process and selection process for subcontractors, subconsultants, and suppliers. The DBE program office determined that Gelati Brothers fell short of the 22% SBE goal. However, Gelati Brothers did provide sufficient good faith efforts to actually solicit DBE and SBE subcontractors and suppliers. According to Title 49, Code of Federal Regulations, Part 26, a bidder must not be denied a contract award if good faith efforts have been documented. At this time, SBE participation of approximately 6.53%, which includes a 3.77% DBE participation, is anticipated during the performance of the work. Engineering staff and attorney reviewed the bid proposals for completeness and conformance, determined that Gelati Brothers Incorporated with the bid price of $9,199,199 is the lowest responsive bidder. Staff recommends award of the contract to Gelati Brothers. Staff also recommends a contingency in the amount of $919,919 or 10%. The contract construction total price is established, considering the possibility of unforeseen circumstances arising during the project. Staff has also performed an analysis of the level of debt necessary for Fisher staff and other testing and construction management administration during the construction, estimated that project staff budget should be increased by $1.3 million. So the fiscal impact. This project is included in the fiscal year 23-24 bus division capital budget in the amount of $5,130,000. 80% FTA Federal Transit Administration funded, and 20% district funded. So the proposed actions, if taken, most of this contract would result in a $7,025,618 increase, and will revise the total project budget to $12,155,618. 80% FTA funded and 20% district funded. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, John, very much for the presentation. And I might make just a personal note. We're neighbors. My operation is right across the street. Not important, but back in the day, different generations filled 1/3 of San Francisco Bay with our trash and then paved over it. So if you look across the street, you'll see we have a ramp going in that used to be flat. And the street had dropped, which is not good for a garbage truck going up ramps. And when I got here, another personal note, just don't hit David's truck. It was the only car I could recognize in the vehicle I arrived in. But back on track. So we have an offset that is at least 4 or 5 feet now because the road dropped. So this is a very important project. I saw a hand from Holly, and I saw Dennis and Bert. Okay, so Holly, did you want to go first?
Thank you so much, Chair Garbarino. I had a question regarding the small business enterprise percentage and why they were not able to meet the 22%. When I look at the scope of work, there's a lot of small businesses that can perform, and I know the threshold is much higher in terms of economic value of the business. So it's not really a small business. It's a pretty big business.
Well, they actually do have on their list of subcontractors, they have 7 subcontractors, and out of those 7, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them are SVEs. They also have 3 suppliers. They have a testing, quality control, they have a surveyor, and they have a hazmat disposal who are also SVEs or DPE. They just, the dollar value though of those particular tasks that they're performing don't rise up to 22%. But they did go through, they made a good faith effort. They did select a number of firms that are SVEs, and they do have suppliers and fabricators for service who are SVEs. It just didn't rise up to the level.
If I can offer for perspective, each job is different, and that's why the federal regulations say they have to document good faith, and then you cannot not award, but it is a low bid. Your next project has a 52% goal, and they're all great contractors. It just bounces around based on the quotes they get, and also how much work they self-perform. So if this project has a lot of gelati work and then the electrical sub doing most of the dollar value of the work, and neither of those qualify as SVEs, then for this project, we will not be able to achieve the goal.
Okay, to the extent that any contractors are added to this contract, I would love to send a message back, assuming this passes, to the prime asking that they consider small businesses in order to fulfill that percentage. I understand that sometimes the makeup of the work dictates, but this scope of work is very general, and there's a lot of companies that qualify as small businesses that might have been able to be included and to get up to that work percentage. And it's just a little disappointing that there's an unmet goal for the small businesses.
John, Dennis?
Yeah, thank you, John, for the presentation. My question really is about coordinating or conversations with the Transportation Authority of Marin. As you probably know, the 580-101 interchange is being planned, the feasibility of it, and one of the alternatives, I think it's alternative 6, goes right through our property. And I don't believe that's going to be chosen, but they are about ready to go into the CEQA process. And I wondered if it would be prudent to get a letter from them acknowledging that something about alternative 6 to give us a comfort level that we're not investing $12 million that might get torn up at some point.
So we are tracking that project. Where it crosses our project is actually on our bus yard itself, not the employee parking lot subject to this. If they were to select that, and I've talked to TAM staff about this to educate them on state and federal law, if they were to acquire our parts, if they were to cross over our facility, Caltrans does not let owners own the land the freeway passes over. They would acquire it. So that would have to be a project cost. And under the Federal Uniform Relocation Assistance Act, they would have to make us whole with a replacement facility. And so that, right now, the current designs pass over where we actually park our buses, which is not subject to this work, but that they would have to do a full reconstruction of our facility, which would be part of that project cost, which may be another reason why that alternative doesn't move forward. And if we were to have to do that, we do own property that they would have to compensate us for that we lease out to the Marine Airport. So we could shift our whole facility, but they would be obligated to not only pay for that, but to perform all that work in a way that does not impact our operations. But the actual flyover that's contemplated goes over where we actually park our buses.
Thank you, Dennis. I appreciate that.
And thank you, Dennis, and thank you, Dennis, and Holly, thank you for earlier. Bert, go ahead.
I was a cost engineer at Bechtel for the first 10 years of my career. I'm always interested when I see a bid of $9,199,199, and probably 99 cents. It always catches my attention.
Bechtel started that.
And then a major contingency, right?
And the other thing is, some of you may remember a couple of years ago in the strategic plan, we said we were going to start electrification in 2024. And this looks like a right on schedule. I want to compliment Mr. Mulligan for helping to push that through.
Kudos to the engineering department. I had nothing to do with it.
And kudos to the Bridge District. Caltrans was going through the center of our property, and then they said, okay, we won't do that. We'll go through the buses. So, yes, go ahead, Dave.
Well, a couple things. I thought, can we have them go actually over the employee parking lot and then not have to pass this $12 million expenditure at all? But I know that's not in the cards. Interested in terms of, obviously, this is much higher than what we anticipated. Talk about the engineering estimate, that process that we go through. Is that internal to ourselves? Is that from a consultant? And what percentage overall, and I didn't see the number in the report, but what percentage overall, and what has that, I'm always interested in tracking construction pricing. How do we see that in future projects affecting the overall capital budget?
So yes, it depends on each project, whether it's consultant design or in-house design. This was in-house design. So the process is we have our staff engineers who go through previous projects that have similar items. So for the paving items and curb and gutter items, we'll use what has occurred on recent projects. We also have RS means that we'll utilize. And Caltrans has a database online where we'll look at projects in the general same vicinity and look at unit prices for that. So that's our in-house process. So design engineer will perform that estimate, and then another engineer, the manager, will check that. On this project here, this project has been going on for a little bit of time. The PG&E relocation part of it was tricky and took a little longer. So this has been in the budget, and we did not increase the budget year over year, so that contributed partially to it. And then when we looked at the some of the recent Caltrans projects, prices are just coming in really high right now for whatever reason. We don't quite understand why they are, but they are. Some of the quantities are on the lower side, so they're not getting utility scale on some of these items. We were about, our estimate was $5,500,000 for the construction costs, so substantially higher.
I appreciate that explanation. Thank you.
Thank you, David and John again. Great, Mike.
With regard to the expense of the project, on the second page of the document, second paragraph, there's a line that says the investigation determined that a solar carport at the employee parking lot could provide enough power to offset the power usage of the San Rafael bus facility and provide for employee electric vehicle charging and limited electric bus charging. So that's not the full value, I'm sure, of the project, but there is some offset.
Yeah, I'll say it's probably about $250,000 a year, $12 to pay the bill there. So that's real. So basically, it's 80% grant funded, and it'll save us on our operating budget on an ongoing basis going forward. So, I mean, it's very expensive because it's an old swamp that's settled, unevenly, and it's a very difficult, challenging site to work. But it will provide, real savings to us on an annual basis because we won't be writing those checks to PG&E as frequently.
Until they make us do electric buses.
Right. Well, we can never stick with this.
Or we can look at hydrogen. Yes, go ahead.
I don't know how this works, but are you familiar with NEM2 and NEM3? Do we qualify as an NEM2 with this, or do we all have NEM3, or is it a completely different system?
I do not know.
That would be very interesting, because some of the things coming up are going to go back.
Wonderful. That concludes our discussion on this item internally. But before we take our vote, is there anyone from the public here or online who would like to ask a question or speak on this item?
We have no speakers on this item in the room, but after we started the meeting, a number of people did join the call. So Justine would like to poll the public line to see if there's anybody who'd like to speak. Justine, go ahead and poll your line.
Thank you. Is there anyone that would like to speak this morning? Please use ** to unmute yourself and let me know.
Hi, David Pilpel. I had a thought.
Thanks, David. Is there anybody else that would like to speak this morning? Okay, David, go ahead.
Great. David Pilpel from San Francisco. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Excellent. So I wasn't planning to speak on this, but given some of the discussion that prompted me a little bit, I was going to comment on the I am aware of the Transportation Authority of Marin 101-580 project. I appreciate the discussion that you had about that. I think I'm pretty clear that the solar installation would offset all or part of both the maintenance facility and the administration and bus division buildings. I think what I'm not clear on is if the district were to change bus types in the future, for example, to go to battery electric buses or some other type of bus equipment that might require more electric infrastructure. Is this project designed in such a way that would not that might require further electric facilities, but would not require the entire parking lot to be cut up again? So I guess that's my remaining concern, given the shifting CARB and other federal and whatnot standards for diesel emissions of bus fleets as that continues to evolve. I guess that's where I am in terms of thoughts on this project. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, David. And I see John nodding his head. He's got a response.
Yes, I can respond to that. So this project, the transformer that we are installing is sufficient for this charging six new electric buses. We're still in our investigation for what our fleet is going to look like, all the others, and but this is the largest size transformer we could put in for PG&E for the current use that we have. So if we do go to all electric buses, we will have to bring in another transformer, but we're put it in the location where our old transformer is being removed, so we won't have to start up the brand new line that we're construction.
And I might add that based on our board-approved electrification plan, the first round of electric buses we'll purchase will be a half dozen. We replace buses based on their age. The Federal Transit Administration, requires you to drive your bus for at least 12 years before they'll pay for a replacement. And so based on our schedule, we're looking at that we'll probably have about a half dozen buses over the next year or two that we'll be ordering that are electric. Beyond that, you did adopt an electric plan, but a lot in the industry are revisiting whether battery electric is the best way to achieve the CARB mandates, because there's been a lot of challenges on the manufacturing side, on the cost of fueling side. So folks are relooking, and some agencies have adopted modified plans that change. For example, AC Transit their original plan was 30% hydrogen fuel cell, 70% battery electric bus. Their board recently adopted a new plan that flips that, 70% hydrogen fuel cell, 30% battery electric bus. And so agencies are rethinking it, but this will certainly accommodate our immediate order. And as John said, we won't have to rip up the lot if we continue down the battery electric path and don't change course.
Wonderful. Any other questions coming to us online at this time?
That's it. That's all our public comment.
Great. Thank you once again. May I have a motion on agenda item number 3 to approve actions relative to the San Rafael Bus Facility parking lot improvements and solar panel installation?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposition? Let the record show there's no opposition and the motion passes. Thank you so much again, John. And before we go on to item number 4, I would like to make note and introduce Julie Sherman, who is here with us today. You may have noticed Kim's not sitting there. So that is the reason why. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Okay, we will continue then on to item number 4, which is to approve actions relative to San Francisco Ferry Terminal physical security improvements. The staff reports begin on page 7, and John will also present this report. Thank you, John.
Thank you. So this item, again, staff recommends that the Building and Operating Committee recommends that the Board of Directors approve the following actions relative to the award of contract number 2023 F073, San Francisco Ferry Terminal Physical Security Improvement as follows. Approve award of contract number 2023 F073 to Valentine Corporation of San Rafael in the amount of $797,369 and establish a construction contingency for the contract in the amount of $119,605 equal to 15% of the contract award amount. Okay, so the San Francisco Ferry Terminal, located behind the Fair Building in San Francisco, consists of ticket building, passenger restroom building, utility buildings, passenger waiting areas, passenger boarding platforms, and vessel berths. In 2004, in response to a security assessment of the district's ferry facility performed after the September 11, 2001 terrorist attack, the district constructed security improvements at its facilities. At the San Francisco facility, the improvements included installation of fences, gates, steel ballers, and security cameras. The original scope of the project included some additional tall fencing around the west side of the facility. This fencing was rejected by the Port of San Francisco and also the San Francisco Bay Conservation and Development Commission due to visual and aesthetic concerns. However, the other improvements were installed. In recent years, however, security measures were found to be insufficient to keep intruders out of the passenger waiting area, passenger boarding platforms, especially during non-operational hours. So to improve the security at the facility in 2020, the district applied for a Federal Emergency Management Agency Port Security Grant Program funds. And in 2021, we received grant funding to implement some of the additional security measures. District staff put together contract number 2023 F073, San Francisco Ferry Terminal Physical Security Improvement, to enhance the security both during operational and non-operational hours. The scope of work includes replacement of concrete barrier and tubular fencing at certain locations around the facility and replacement of the concrete planter barriers. Installation of overhead electric foil grille gates at the main entrance into the facility. The addition of ballistic resistant aluminum curtain walls above the existing walls at the terminal to close in an existing gap of approximately 4 feet. Some modifications to existing steel bollards and relocation of existing benches and bicycle racks due to these modifications. January 30th, the solicitation for posted in the district's portal. We also advertised in the San Francisco Examiner, Small Business Exchange, and sent out courtesy notices to numerous firms. On the bid opening date of February 27th, one bid was received and publicly read. Valentine Corporation of San Rafael, with a bid amount of $797,369. So again, engineering staff, Disadvantaged Business Enterprise Program Office, and the attorney evaluated the proposals based upon the criteria in the bid solicitation.
Could I interrupt and just make the motion? There's only one bid on this. I've read this in advance. I think many of us have, so I make a motion to approve this.
Wonderful.
Second.
Thank you so much. I was going to call on you, Dick. I saw your hand. It's all good. Thank you
I
for
didn't mean
that.
to be rude, but
No,
I
you-
felt since there was only one bid
No, yeah.
and it seemed reasonable. So.
Yeah, no, I wrote your name.
Sorry, John, I didn't
So
mean
that's
to
good.
interrupt.
Great presentation, John. Good. Wonderful.
As you get older, you lose patience, John.
You felt getting older by the moment. Okay. Well, assuming there are no questions, I have to stick to a script. And before we take our vote on this item number 4, is there anyone from the public who wishes to speak, or has Dick just sort of shortened that list?
Thank you. We have no speakers in the room and there are no speakers online.
Okay, we have a motion to approve and a second. The actions relative to the San Francisco Ferry Terminal Physical Security System. We have that second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposition? Let the record show there's no opposition and the motion passes. Thank you, John. Thank you, Dick. We will now continue on to item number 5, which is an informational monthly report from board appointees to the Sonoma Marin Area Rail Transit Board, SMART. And I will start off the report by publicly thanking Eddie Cummins, our GM, and just hit a few highlights, but then I will turn it over to Barb and David to flesh out a better report. The Petaluma North Gauntlet Track is ready for installation this weekend. The track and stations of the North Petaluma downtown will be closed on Saturday and Sunday, and that has been publicly noticed in order for riders to be able to plan accordingly. The contractor conducting a test lift of new Gauntlet Track with excavators and contract pouring concrete for the Windsor platform very soon, which is exciting as we extend forward. And to quote Eddie, clear skies ahead have brought increased ridership over the past week. I know we've got rain in the forecast, but ridership continues to improve. So to my colleagues, Barb and David, I'm sure you have much to improve on my report.
I don't know that this is an improvement. I just want to shout out to the Golden Gate Bridge, how proud the three of us were when Ron Downing brought the San Rafael Transit Center project to us. It was very well done. It was very well presented. I know that there's been some contention over the years for that, way back to when I was president. And it was a very forward-thinking, sensitive, informative presentation. So thank Ron and the team for that.
I'm good.
You're good. There you have it.
Takes a cross for me. I don't want to say that.
All good. And I was, sorry, Dick. I was lucky enough to be able to get a bite and go to the San Rafael hearing in which the same presentation was elaborated upon and done very well. All of the consultants, you would all be very, very proud. You've seen them give presentations but they did a phenomenal job. Did you want to elaborate, Dennis, on that?
Just that the project is moving forward in preliminary design. We're also working with the Federal Transit Administration on getting their final approval of their environmental process. But it's a great consultant team, and the outreach on the community has been phenomenal. And it's wonderful to have no opposition to the project any place from anyone.
Yes, come a long way. Yeah, very much. So from it being under the overpass, I have to say that somebody thought that was a good idea. So as you know, there is no required action on item number 5. We will then continue on to item number 6, which is a status report on engineering projects. The staff report begins on page 23 of your package, and Ava is here to proceed with her informational report. Thank you, Ava.
John's at that.
Right.
There you go.
All right. My chin is about to Chair Garbarino, members of the committee, my written report is before you, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Wonderful. Directors, any questions? Yes, Jim, go ahead.
Yeah, just a quick question. On page 40, it says rope inspection. What's meant by ropes in this case?
So, because many locations on the bridge structures do not have physical access, like catwalk or a ladder or something like that, we employ a specialty consultant that uses basically rope climbing methods to get to those places that otherwise would be inaccessible.
So it's actually ropes.
Yes, it's kind of, we should sell tickets because during high season, people just amused seeing guys just hanging from the bridge and roads going up and down.
Wow.
And they are paid, so I want this job.
Anyone else? And if not, I want to make another personal comment, so I apologize. Speaking of selling tickets, I was able to drive back across the bridge at 12:31. It was early this morning. And the work that was going on, I know all of you have had the opportunity to drive in the middle of the night, but those people that work and do all of that in the dark, it's phenomenal. What struck me were all of the cones and the safety measures in place to keep them all safe and to keep us all safe as well. So thank you for that. I was able to tell the driver who gave me a ride, who was not in a garbage truck, by the way, that in just a few hours, I get to go and have a meeting in that building over there. So another personal comment. Thank you. Okay. Wonderful. And we move on now. So there is no action on that item associated with item number 6. I'm asking then if anyone from the public here or online would like to address us on that.
We have no more speakers online or in the room, so we can continue.
Thank you. Through God's grace, we have reached the end of the agenda, and I can have coffee, which I've not had, or breakfast. May I have a motion to adjourn this meeting? And a second, thank you. Hearing obviously no objections, this meeting concluded at 9:46, and the meeting was of the Building and Operating Committee. Thank you all very much. I will be clearer on another day.